Hi, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Yes, Arvind, I
Yeah,
can hear you.
can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
Professor.
Hello.
Hi, Ashima.
Hi, ma'am.
Hi. So I hope you are seeing one box on your right hand side.
Yeah.
चिंकी तुम्हारा आवाज सुनाई दे रहे नहीं दे रहा है. So Ashish, Chinky,
Hello. Hello.
yeah, can you take
It's
me
there?
through again the same thing? So there's a control panel on the right hand side.
Right. So you can see a green colored mic there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So that's a mic. So if you click on, okay, and then
Lost
after
your
that
audio.
there is a
Your voice didn't come through.
okay. Is it better?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm saying if you click on that green colored mic,
After you say green colored mic button, your voice goes off.
right? Okay, if you click on that green colored mic, it will mute your voice. So you don't have to
Okay.
click on that. After
Okay.
that, there is a video cameras icon. So if you click on that,
That will
so
start connecting.
that will start your camera. So you need to click on that. So once we'll start our session.
Not now.
Not now.
Does it
Okay,
say
but
share my webcam?
I wanted to see
Sorry.
my positioning now.
Yeah, you can. I mean, you can do it right now for a practice because we have not started the broadcast yet.
Okay, now that's okay. So, all right. Yeah, I have a very strange room. So, okay, fine. I live with this. All right.
Hmm.
I've got something behind my head. Yeah.
Shima and Arvind, you can
Okay.
also
Then,
do that.
Yeah.
Mm.
Great.
Arvind, you guys are wearing headphones. I'm like, without a headphone. I don't have a decent headphone.
My computer speaker is too bad.
Uh, every day I have this fear that if the computer crashes, then how will life go on? I mean, where will I get a computer from? Where will you? So my accessory, the day it say, oh my God, it's not charging, gone. Where's the next shop where you can buy a charger?
Okay. So after that, if you see there is a text named questions.
What?
On that right hand side box, you will see a
Why are
text
you
over
whispering? Why are you whispering, Chinky? Is your baby sleeping?
right. You got me.
Yes,
You
that's why
just
I am
sleeping
listening.
just beside. Yeah.
ऐसा कौन सी बात कर रहा है? बच्चा जाग जाए तो फिर तो काम खत्म हो जाएगा हमारा. हाँ.
Okay. So I hope you are
After
able to
that,
see that
you got
questions.
the full screen window viewer and the chat window, right?
Yeah, one is the chat window, the other one is the questions window.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. So the attendees can write their questions here, and from there you can just read that question and you can give an answer.
Okay. So, Arvind and Ashima, I tend to not notice the questions. Huh? So I am going on and, they're asking questions and I have, so we are in two different directions. So Ashish and
We can
Chinky
do
sometimes.
something. We can leave the questions. We can leave the questions till the end.
And
We
Yeah,
can
yeah,
ask
yeah.
them.
Yeah. In the end
So,
only you need to
so
answer
the
those
flow is
questions.
going to be, I'll start speaking.
Mhm.
I don't know on what, but I'll start speaking. And then
Yeah, internet. So your internet is
My internet is
Yeah, now
80,
it's okay.
100 Mbps speed. Okay, and Chinky, that's all.
Yeah, that's all, sir. So as a speaker, you just need to see the questions, and in the end, you can just answer them.
Okay, and guys, there is something called select a poll. So you can, I mean, suddenly if you want, in the middle of it, if you say, all right, let's do a poll of how many
Yeah, I
people
mean, if
are actually vegetarians. So then you see, Ashima and Chinky's hand going up. So, so there will be people raising their hand out there. So you can do that kind of a poll also in between.
yes, you were right. In our previous webinar, there was an icon for raising a hand. I can't see it in today's webinar though.
Another thing, guys, you all know that you can create a. I know how. I don't know how to do it, but you can actually. You can actually have a artificial background that you
Yeah, yeah.
can put.
That's
Yeah.
on Zoom, I
Oh,
think. You can do
oh,
that on
oh,
Zoom.
oh, okay.
Even on
Okay.
Teams
So
one can do.
Professor,
Huh?
I can see a question here, and I
Uh,
believe somebody has started the broadcast already.
oh,
I can see a question here. A girl cinematographer is accepted in the profession or not?
you can't stop the broadcast
I I don't think I can't. If let me check.
because one of our mouses may have clicked out there.
Let me check. I can't get that kind
The question
of option
where
here. In the question box, you can see a question here from
a girl cinematographer,
Prajvi.
Prabji
Hi.
Iyer.
Yeah. So I believe the broadcast has started already.
So, but so we tell her that if she can listen to us, that that actually we were just checking the audio video and we plan to start at 6 o'clock sharp.
Sure. Okay,
Is
so
that
there
okay,
are
Shakil?
three attendees actually right now. One is Pooja, the other one. Okay, I'll just ask her. I'll just tell her.
Question: a girl cinematographer is accepted in the profession or not? Very much. There are lots of girl, female cinematographers or camera persons, as we call them in television. A lot of them are there. And the ones that I know, or all of them that I know, do very, very good work. So Arvind, before Nashima, I mean, while they come, so I'm starting a show from Sunday. Okay, a weekly online show, an interview-based online show. So
Hmm.
the first show is Sunday, 6 p.m.
Oh, which platform, sir?
So most probably, as I was told today, we are going to be on Zoom, but it'll be live streamed on Facebook.
Okay.
So I'm trying to grapple with these kind of understandings. I mean, if you do only on Zoom, then I think you have a limited number of people that can get on, right? Limited as in
Yeah.
quite a number, but still it's limited. But if you stream it on Facebook, then it's virtually unlimited. And also, I think the JGU Facebook page has about 10,000, 20,000 people there.
Followers.
So immediately it goes there. You see, so we'll do it from the JGU thing. It'll not be only a journalism school thing. I mean, it's basically a university outreach.
Hmm. You should check out Fi D'Souza on Instagram. She does a live show
Ah,
every night at 9 o'clock.
yeah.
Sometimes she like brings guests and other people also. It's really good.
Yeah. She was fired from Mirror now, I think, for saying something.
Yeah.
She was doing very well, and then she got fired.
I think she quit.
I mean,
Yeah, she quit or something.
no, she was asked to leave,
Hmm.
which has now become a badge of honor, actually, which is not a bad thing.
Hmm.
When a journalist is asked to leave, then it becomes a badge of honor. I mean, for the
But
right
now
reasons.
she's yeah. She's going to start her own channel now, like Barka Dutt.
Barkha is also doing very well. I think
Brilliant,
Barkha is
brilliant.
also I think Barkha, when she is doing the broadcast every night, the background is also a pre-recorded background because
Green
she's doing
screen.
it from all
Hmm.
over the place. It can't be the same background every night. You've got a nice book background. My background is like I have books on the floor, you see, not on the wall, so I'm not being able to show off. So there are lots of stories and tweets and stuff like that of people checking out people's bookshelves and knowing what you read, right? The pandemic, because everyone's doing these kind of shows or stuff like that, and your background is pretty audible. So we are, I mean, not just the two of you here, but yesterday we were discussing the convocation, and
Oh, your internet is gone again.
slowly, if things are going to return to normal or close to normal life, then the one thing that we can definitely have is the convocation. So so the registrar is already planning, looking at various scenarios, A, B, C, of how to do it. So in the evening, Tom and I kind of had a chat, and we shot off a mail to the registrar and the vice chancellor saying that while you plan your convocation, we as a small school would like to do a no frills convocation of our 50 students either on campus or outside campus somewhere. So I mean, we would definitely physically wanted to do the convocation, not a virtual one.
But that's the time. Hopefully by August. Hopefully by August things should get a little better.
Yeah, I mean, businesses are already starting. Today, let's see what the Prime Minister says at 8 o'clock.
Yeah. Hmm.
But I was shown somebody, I was looking at pictures. Delhi roads look like same.
Even Calcutta. I went to the market this morning. Everything is normal.
Everything's normal, huh?
Full,
Except
full.
for
Like
Jatheri.
this crowd. Excepting Jatheri and a few specific pockets in every city.
Yeah, yeah. Did you get a pop-up on your screen? I got a pop-up on my screen just now
No.
No.
saying close all confidential windows. When ready, click show my screen. What is to be done?
That's probably. Did you click on screen share or something?
Screen sharing.
No. Show main screen, just a window. Oh, unless you want to. I don't know. Chinky, Ashish.
Yes, Professor. So to all our
Okay, so
attendees, please wait for 10 more minutes. We are about to start our session.
hi Ashish.
The
Ashima,
highest
Arvind, can you see
registration
me?
we have got.
Yeah.
Can you see me?
Yes,
Yeah.
Yes,
yes.
we can see you.
Oh, but there's a pop-up on my screen saying, please close all confidential windows. When ready, click show my screen. I don't have any confidential windows. So what should I say? Should I say show my screen or not yet?
We
Not
can
yet.
see you, so you can. I believe you can just ignore that message because we can see you and we can hear your voice too.
Okay, I'm saying not yet and I've removed it. Ashish, I don't know what have I given away from my screen by clicking on a button. And
So
we
we
are
have got the
already
highest.
broadcasting, right? You don't have to click on
Yeah,
anything.
it is. I mean, the attendees can listen to us, but we still have 10 more minutes, and there are 12 students has already joined. So let's wait for a few more. We have got the highest registration in this session uh, by the students. So
Uh,
let's wait for 5-7
looking,
minutes more.
looking forward to it. I mean, while there's an invisible audience out here, and while we are waiting to start, um, let's also kind of inform them that we are going to have a new show starting Sunday, every Sunday, 6 p.m. From the Jindal School of Journalism and Communication, and the details will be sent to you. And every week we are going to pick up one story and one prominent guest and have an interview with the guest and allow the audience also to interact with the guest. I will be hosting the show, something that I didn't know that I would be doing after so many years of after quitting television. So, but it's something that the Vice Chancellor wanted and he pursued and me to agree. So I'm looking forward to having fun with that. Obviously, the issues now that we are going to discuss will be on the current crisis. And Chinky, do we have a sense of from where our audience is today? I mean, a broad geographical idea. I mean, are they mostly from north of India or from all of India?
For that, I need to do an analysis, Professor, but yes, they are part of India, of course. Uh, I am not able to see the student who are from the different country, but most of the students are from India only. But for the geographical analysis, I need
Okay.
some. I'll provide that data to you after the webinar.
Oh, yeah, no, that's okay. I just wanted to get a sense of where they are from so that, you know, I mean, so that I know what to talk about or maybe bring them into the conversation. Yeah, I mean, supposing they were from Lakshadweep or Andaman, anyone out here, I would have loved to listen to stories of how the crisis has panned out there, you know,
I
things
think
like that.
So
there's a chat screen where
I believe Andaman has already recovered all the cases of COVID there.
so I think there's a chat screen on
Okay.
this portal
Yes.
where people can
Oh, there is a chat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you see any chats happening?
No, not yet.
All is
Now.
Yes. So Arvind had messaged hello to all the people.
Hello.
So we can we can hear hello from
Hello.
Ashish sir, I believe.
Hello.
Pardon?
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
Ashima, say something.
Hi, hello, how are you?
Great.
I am getting Ashima and Arvind frozen.
That's because of your internet speed.
Yes, I believe, Professor, your internet speed is low because your picture is resolution is also not that clear. And please, okay, this is for everyone. Please don't click on the cross button because it will end the session. So this is
Please
for
don't.
the professor. Click on the cross button in the end at the
Yeah.
corner. It will just stop the session and it will restop.
Have we heard Ashima speak?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, suggest a story that we begin with. Arvind?
So,
We must have many stories as he worked on a bicycle soldiers.
Yeah, he's been doing
yeah,
bicycle.
that that was pretty good. But then the only unfortunate thing, so as you were saying about a laptop crashing or your charger not working,
Yeah.
was that my cycle tire burst open in the
Oh,
middle of
Oh,
the street. But then I've been carrying out the work like on my car, so that's been
okay.
going on pretty well.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
one thing is that there are few things that can never stop. Manufacturing may stop, businesses may shut down, restaurants may close down. Journalism and governance, these two things can never stop, no matter what
Never
happens.
saw. Yeah. In fact, I'm planning to start by talking about that. And but I was thinking of, I was thinking of what stories that we can share. Share some
so to
stories with.
all the attendees, just 2 more minutes and we are about to start our session. So we have one hello from Shravani from Mumbai. She's really looking forward to our session today.
From where?
From Mumbai. I
Okay, so
believe
just
she's
one
already
question
asked to the
before we start. Everyone is able to see questions?
Yeah.
Questions.
So we have
Yeah.
one questions tab, right?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So this is where we'll be able to see questions. So Chinky, you will be coordinating on questions, or should we do it directly?
no, the questions which is related to the session or the webinar will be attended by the professor and the Arvind and Ashima. The
Right.
questions related to the admission process, I'll be handling that.
Sure. Okay, great. So shall we start?
Yes, I
All
believe
right. Let's
just
start.
yeah. Okay,
Okay,
great.
so I'm going offline. I think Professor Krishna, you'll start, or should I introduce first?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'll get started.
Great, great,
Right.
great, great.
Thank you, Professor. So we are going on mute.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you
Right.
so much,
So
Ashish and Chinky, my
sure.
admissions team from Jindal School of Journalism and Communication.
Right, sir.
Very warm welcome. Uh, and to the webinar session, Ask Me Anything. Now, don't ask me anything. Ask me only about studying journalism as a career. I'm not equipped to answer everything. So, I was thinking of this morning about the webinar and what to tell you. And the one question, if you're listening to me carefully, is that in the last 50 days, imagine the last 50 days where you do not have airwaves, which means there's no television, no radio, no internet, no newspaper. What would life look like without these things in the last 50 days of the lockdown? it would be like the dark ages. You would be like living in the caves. I mean, instead of the caves, you would be living in your apartments and your homes. But there wouldn't be any difference. The difference between the dark ages and the caves and today, despite the lockdown and this unprecedented crisis, is that you still have information coming to you, and you have information coming to you every millisecond. And that information that is being brought to you are being brought to you by journalists. So while there is a school of thought which will tell you that that journalists, that there are no jobs, a lot of media houses are collapsing, etc. But look at how the crisis has been covered. Every day, every moment, every hour, the journalists are right out there. Tell me one more question. I mean, you don't have to answer me, but I'm just asking you. Think about it. That when the government decided to go on a lockdown, who were the people who were first given the curfew passes? It was the doctors and the journalists, the medical, the healthcare professionals, and the journalists. The journalists had to be on the ground. The journalists were the first ones who, without any healthcare training, had exposed themselves to the risk, and not just the risk of the virus, various other risks. And they, sometimes they walked, sometimes there was no public transport. It's not like every journalist had a vehicle. It's not like every organization were providing vehicles to all their journalists. There were, how journalism works. I'm going to go into that a little later, but also journalism works through a number of freelancers or stringers, as we call it. A large number of photographs that you see. Many of these photographs are not by staff members, but by freelancers who do not have an insurance. So while we are looking at bureaucrats, healthcare professionals, others who are doubly insured sometimes, or at least insured once, to be able to go out and take the risk, all essential service people have that kind of insurance. Journalists don't have that. Journalists did not have a safety kit. Journalists did not have insurance. Journalists only had the motivation. They only had the ideal, and they did not. It wasn't even a question of whether we should go or not. There was no question. It was that we got to be there. So I don't know about, I haven't done a comparative study of all the journalism offices, but I know how Indian Express reacted to the first news when the lockdown started, or not even lockdown started, even before the lockdown. The Indian Express Delhi office divided themselves into two offices, because if there was an infection in one office, then the office would have been shut down, and then the edition could not have been printed. So they divided themselves into two offices so that at least one office works as a backup if the other office, there's some incidental infection there. And all journalism offices operated similar. They divided themselves up. Some people said, don't come to office, work from home. But where a journalist can't really work from home unless you're doing an opinion piece. So, I've got friends in journalism, and I have been a career journalist myself, most part of my life till I joined out here at the JSJC to teach journalism. And there was, like I said, there was never a moment where you hesitated or where you said, all right, should I do the story? Should I be going out on the road? Obviously, you're going to be on the road. You're supposed to be there. You're meant to be there. And today, while we are, while the government very appropriately has saluted the healthcare workers and other people in the essential services who deserve a huge applause and huge appreciation from us, but very few people recognize or realize the importance of journalism and journalists. And today, I suppose I hope you recognize and appreciate that everything that we are talking about, our sanity, literally was in the hands of journalists. If we were devoid of information, imagine the kind of dystopia that we would have been led into. Most of us listening to this webcast, and my two students out here, including myself and my team members from the admissions, we are all privileged people. We have an internet. We are talking to each other over internet. I suppose we have 3 square, 4 square meals a day. There are lots of people who don't have that. But who gets those stories to you? Who shakes up the collective conscience of a nation, of a world, of humanity? And it may sound a little idealistic, but track every single day's news, and you would see worldwide the number of people who are on the road, who are actually taking this kind of a risk, going out and doing these kind of stories. I mean, I'll share just two little anecdotes of my one, not from my journalistic life, but one from my journalistic life, and then I'll ask my students to share their learning and experiences. But when I was younger than you, I was in class 6 when trouble broke out in the town, the hill station that I grew up in. I grew up in a beautiful, idyllic hill station called Shillong, which is in the eastern tip of the country. I did not know anything. I did not know that there could be trouble in this world. I was completely insulated from any trouble, anything bad. Everything was beautiful, everything was nice. And then one fine autumn evening, the hills in front of my house, went up in fire. I did not know what to do or what was happening. I couldn't make sense of it, except I remember that we were told to pack our belongings and be ready to leave. The following 10 years of my life out there, every year the town descended into darkness, means it went into curfew for several months. Every year there was disruption. So the kind of disruption that you're talking about out here, this kind of disruption happens in various parts of the world every year. Maybe not periodically, but it happens. In some places, it's a permanent situation of a lockdown. Imagine in Afghanistan, it's a permanent situation of a lockdown. Myanmar, which we called Burma earlier, from 1988 when Aung San Suu Kyi was taken into house arrest, several years, decades, there was lockdown there. You couldn't go out, you couldn't live a normal life, you couldn't lead a normal life. So lockdowns, not of this nature, but of various other nature, even more draconian, have been part of people's life. So in Shillong, where I grew up, that was not, now we use the word called new normal. Well, there was nothing, that word new normal was not a fashionable term that time. That was normal. There used to be a curfew relaxation every day, first for half an hour, then for 1 hour, then for 2 hours, depending on the law and order situation. And the work was divided between our family members. I would rush out to buy vegetables. Dad probably would go to the bank to withdraw some money. Those days there were no ATMs, so one had to go to the bank to withdraw money, and only transaction is to happen over cash. Mom probably would go out and get something. I don't clearly remember, but I remember my job was marked quite clearly. I had to go to the market and buy vegetables, and there used to be a long queue to buy vegetables. There were not several shops those days. I'm talking of a very long time ago. It was 1979. Then I left Shillong, grew up, went other places, lived on other places, and then I started reporting on the ground. And I remember a highway called the Highway 39. All the highways in India have been renamed. So Highway 39, I think, has been renamed as Highway 3 or 4 or 2, something like that. I'm not very sure. This is the highway that connects Manipur and Nagaland. It's one of the most famous / infamous highways in the country. But over the last couple of years, I'm told things have improved. But Highway 39, on an average, would be locked down for about 3 months every year with burning tires, big boulders, army patrols, armed and unarmed groups of people rebelling, protesting against various issues. And I remember I was reporting from there, and I went down to the highway to report. It's a small place. People knew us if we were reporting. There weren't many television channels. I used to work for a television channel a network called NDTV. Those days we were the only ones. So everyone knew if it was a camera crew coming, it would be us. That helped us a lot. The army knew us, the extremists knew us, the residents knew us. And then I got a call, the mobile phones had just come in. I got a call from one doctor who is to run, who had a super specialty hospital out there. And the doctor invited me to visit his hospital. And I told the doctor, I think, doctor, I'll come and see you some other time because I'll be going to the highway now because there's a big protest happening. And the doctor said, no, you must come out here. It's very, very urgent. And he sent a vehicle. I went to his name is Dr. Palin, P-A-L-I-N. And the name of the hospital is called Shija Super Specialty Hospital. He's also a very highly awarded doctor. I went to Dr. Palin's hospital in Shija. He held my hand and took me to the intensive care unit. And there were 3 patients in the intensive care unit. And he looked at me and he said, by tomorrow morning, he says, I will have to pull out the oxygen pipes from these critically ill patients because the highway blockade has stopped everything and oxygen cylinders are not coming. I have run out of oxygen cylinders. And I looked at the doctor, and what does one do then? You can freeze, you can be angry, you can be sad. That's not going to save these 3 people. We have the time period of only a few hours. So I did a story. That's what we can do. And I pushed my office to broadcast it immediately. And we played up that story entire evening, saying that patients are dying in the intensive care unit of hospitals in Imphal in Manipur because there are no oxygen supply. What happened? The government came under pressure. Next morning, AN-32 aircrafts of the Indian Air Force came with 2 sorties of oxygen cylinders. I'm not sure what happened to the patients, but at least the patients that day were given oxygen. They survived. Now, not that every story has an impact, but the idea is that we want impact of the stories. We want stories to wake people up, to shake the collective conscience, to make the government accountable, to save lives. Why is my former colleague Barkha Dutt out on the road for the last 50 days, traveling now 55,000 kilometers, reporting where the migrants are walking? She's walking with the migrants, she's getting onto the trucks where loads of migrants are being packed and sent home, so that as a society, as a nation, as a humanity, as a government, people react, people act. Only when people react will governments act. And that is the job of journalists. So, I feel that today the crisis around the world is probably the best case example for young people to appreciate and the role and the importance of journalists. There has never been a time in recent history of the world where journalism has played such a critical role in conveying the right information to the people's home, in telling them the safety measures to be adopted, in conveying what the government says, in bringing contrasting perspectives and opinions of scientists and of other people. Because there is a saying, it's a bit of a cliche, but let me tell you, if someone asks you, what is journalism? What do the journalists do? We go and report stories. So what? We report stories. What do the report stories do? Well, the oxygen cylinder story is just once in a while. Every day is not going to be an oxygen cylinder story. Journalists make sense of what is happening around you. That's our role. Our role is to hold truth to power, hold the people accountable, the people in power and accountable, make them work, make them act, and make sense of what's happening around us. I don't know what's happening around us. I don't know what's happening. Where is the virus? It's an invisible enemy that we are fighting, a whole humanity fighting against a virus. but whatever little sense we can make is being conveyed to you through the medium of mass communication, through the medium of journalists are doing that. So, 3 years ago, when we decided to open the school of Jindal School of Journalism and Communication as part of as that time the sixth school of the OP Jindal Global University, my dean Tom Goldstein, who wished he could join today, he's in California right now. He sent me a message sometime back saying he's having technical issues and he could not join. Tom and I, and Tom is the former dean of the Columbia School of Journalism and of the Berkeley Graduate School of Journalism. Tom spent a good number of years at the New York Times and the Associated Press. I sat with Tom, and through the winter of before the course started, we started reimagining and imagining what the new world requires from journalism, how we can imagine communication. And we came up with a course and a curriculum which is not to be found in any journalism school anywhere in the world. Of that, I can be very confident. I'm saying this with responsibility, that the course that we offer out here, a major in journalism, which means an honors in journalism and media studies, is rooted in the tradition of liberal arts, which means we have a bouquet of subjects and courses which are holistic, which prepare you for a situation like today. A situation like today is not something that is discussed in a newsroom. It was not something that my journalist friends were prepared for before we were locked down or before the virus hit. It's something that we get trained to think on our feet. But in my generation, there was no technology, or there was little technology. It was not so as complicated as today. But today, journalism schools train students not just in the technology, but to be able to think on their feet. Right now is the time to think on your feet. There is no time for journalists now to sit down and look through research manuals and say, all right, this is how I'm going to go out on the road and do my story. I'm going to do my story. I'm not going to, I have to act before I can think. And that was what I was told by my employer, Dr. Pranoy Roy and Radhika Roy, who were, trailblazers in television journalism in India, that started the, iconic program for the world this week, which is to come every Friday evening. When we went live 24 hours, I thought Pranoy was joking. I mean, who does a 24-hour news? Because I was used to a weekly and then a daily, and that was bad enough. And now he says 24 hours, and I laughed at him. He said, in 2 months, we are going on air. And we said, really? I mean, how does that happen? How are we going to do it? We can't even manage a 1-hour show daily, and out here we are saying 24 hours. And he said 24 hours live. And then we were on 2 months, at the end of 2 months, we were live 24 hours on air. And there was no time to commit mistakes, no errors on air, because you're trained to think on your feet. You hit the ground running. So journalists hit the ground running. I will now pass on the baton, as they say in a relay race, to my students who have listened to my stories and then various other stories over the last 3 years. A very eventful first graduation for our school. Never imagined, never thought, but I guess this is the most memorable way. Not my style, not my plan of having the first graduation under lockdown, but seems like that's what is going to be their biggest classroom. I suppose the last 2 months of their graduating days, and joining me is Arvind and Ashima. And just to introduce you, Arvind Kumar comes from Calcutta. And I remember when in the first month when he came, I think we had a pizza party in the food court, right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
We did.
That was the first time
We did.
we had met. So yeah, Tom had thrown this pizza party, and it wasn't. It was a different pizza than the one that is
Chicago, the
that serves
Chicago
now.
pizza.
Chicago pizza, yes. I think the Domino's, I don't know which one is better, but yeah, the Chicago pizza, and we had a little barricaded section for us to have pizza. And I asked Arvind that why are you here? Arvind was wearing a kurta, and he said that I want to be a politician. And I was taken aback because I so far hadn't heard any student telling me that I want to be a politician. So I wasn't very sure of where he comes from, because in Haryana we have a number of politicians whose children study in the university. But then I found that Arvind's father is not a politician, or I don't know whether anybody from his family is politician, but Arvind wanted to be a politician. So I don't know whether Arvind continues to wish that he becomes a politician, but I'd like to. And then Arvind, over the last 3 years, we'll hear what he's learned, what his experiences has been. But recently, Arvind, jumped into the shoes of the journalist very quickly. Even before graduating, launched a service, a very unique service in Calcutta during the pandemic. We'll listen to that story now. And he has already been accepted by the University of London, if I'm not mistaken, Arvind.
King's College, London.
London to pursue his master's studies. And
Right.
after Arvind, we will also listen to Ashima, who is his classmate, and I introduce Ashima then. So Arvind, tell us your experience of JSJC and the pandemic.
JSJC, I think it's been great for me. It's been life changing, absolutely. Coming from Calcutta all the way to Sonipat, it's quite a change, you see. Both the people you meet, the environment itself, it's so different because when you come to Jindal, it's it's extremely pretty, okay, because the college is right in the middle of fields, in middle of wheat fields. So the moment you step out, it's just greenery everywhere. And yeah, the people you meet, I mean, staying amidst 5,000 people, getting 5,000 different views, it does shape you, because and it changes a lot of thoughts that you come with. Because out here, when you're at home, you're somewhat protected, I'd say. And once you step out of your comfort zone and when you go into the real world, when you meet people, that's when you think you've learned something. And Jindal has been great because since day one, we all assume. And the first thing that our dean told us was never assume anything. And that has stuck on to me forever, and it's probably going to be there with me because we have a tendency to accept information the way it is. We never think to analyze, and that's where the curiosity of the journalist comes in. You have to be curious no matter what happens. Unless you are curious, unless you want to dwell deeper into issues and know what is really happening, you will not make a good journalist. And yeah, I mean, the course itself is we are the first graduating batch, so the course has been structured, tried, and tested on us, and I can tell you, it's a great course. You name it, you learn it. And we don't just stick to say journalism subjects. We have subjects, you name it, we have it. We have statistics, we've got film studies, we've got you name it from various different schools. We learn legal subjects, we learn which is why Krishna sir said we are more of a liberal arts following. We are following more of a liberal arts curriculum because we learn a little bit of everything, and I think it's really important today. And see, coming from a humanities background, the reason why I chose humanities and journalism because of my aversion of mathematics. And I realized in my third semester when we had statistics as a subject that no, mathematics cannot be ignored entirely. You need to know a little bit of numbers as well, because that's when you have to analyze data. you'll be left nowhere. And believe me, you have to do it. As a journalist, you have to do it. And as I said, like during the pandemic, you may find everything has stopped. Restaurants, movie halls, every business, manufacturing business, everything stops. But then here we are in a profession where this cannot stop. Information has to get out. We have to make sense of whatever information is out there for the people. Because unless we do that, the people will be absolutely. I mean, the masses will be. They'll go haywire. There'll be no one to control them. And the importance of studying journalism today is more than ever, because journalism itself is plagued with a lot of issues such as fake news, such as partisan views on news. The moment you switch to a channel, you know what kind of information they're propagating, and that's where we come in. Like that's where we are important. We need to get factual information out to the people, and we cannot be biased. That we actually are. The university has taught us the ethics of journalism really well, I'll tell you. And you'll be able to practice that throughout, like in your everyday life you'll be practicing those ethics. And yeah, so the importance of us today is more than ever. The world needs journalists and true journalists today. And so during this pandemic, a lot of us must be wondering, like, everything has come to a sudden halt. Where do we go? What do we do now? But then you see, you just need to find ways to do something. I started Cycle Soldiers. It's an initiative that I started on my own, a service initiative for senior citizens. uh, so the basic idea was that senior citizens right now cannot step out of their homes and should not step out of their homes. And that was the kind of message that I wanted to tell people, especially senior citizens, that they should not step out of them, and whatever essentials they need, I'll be there to deliver it to them on my cycle. I'll ride my cycle, I'll deliver it to them. And the response was great. In fact, Vogue magazine covered me, Vogue India. They covered the Cycle Soldiers initiative on their website. Uh, it's been great. It's been a great experience. Unfortunately, I couldn't continue with my cycle because I burst my tire. But then I've been delivering things to people on my vehicle. So that's been great. Ashima, if you
All
will.
right. Arvind, you know what we'll do is that after Ashima speaks, then we'll go to the questions, because a whole lot of questions I figured out.
Sure.
And then we take all of them one by one, right? And so to introduce Ashima Sharma, comes not from very far off from where we are in Jindal. She comes from Chandigarh. Is would depend that Chandigarh is Chandigarh, and it's not neither in Punjab nor in Haryana. And but you know, and I would say, oh, it is in Punjab. And you know, there would be a debate on this Punjab and whether Chandigarh is in Punjab or Chandigarh is Chandigarh. So Ashima comes from a commerce background, right? Ashima, you did your commerce.
Right. Yeah.
Arvind, what did you do? Did you do your science,
Humanities.
Arvind?
I did humanities.
Humanities. Okay. So also to give a sense to people listening to us that, you know, we've got students from all different streams. So it's not like, you know, you come from only one stream.
We have science. We have science students as well.
Last year, will tell us what she has experienced, what things that she's learned, things that she wants to do. But each time we would ask in the classroom who wants to be a journalist, and you know, Ashima would definitely raise her hand. So she was very clear that she wanted to be a journalist. I hope she ends up actually becoming a journalist. Currently, of course, she's got her admission into I think London School of Economics and SOAS in London. I don't know which one she's choosing. I hope both Arvind and Ashima, under the circumstances, can go there and study, because it's not about going to London and studying. We have fantastic universities here, but the idea of going outside is to be able to broaden your horizon, to be able to get that exposure so that you can come back or be wherever you are and pursue your dreams. So it is just about broadening your horizon. And so Ashima has been working very doggedly and consistently on refugees particularly with the Rohingya refugees, working with film production houses and journalists, helping them with that. So Ashima, tell us about your learning and experiences at JSJC.
Right. So, okay, you guys know that I come from a commerce background, and I have no answer to why I chose journalism. I just knew I wanted to be a journalist. And okay, so to begin with, I have other friends in other journalism schools across the country, be it Sophia or Bengaluru, and we keep in touch over what they are studying and what we are studying, and it is definitely a lot of difference between the two curriculums. I mean, our curriculum is way more diverse. We end up learning not only stuff about journalism, but so much more that you can absolutely expand your career options and not just limit them to journalism. And you'll know this because Arvind has already told you he wants to be a politician. Um and the courses are based on liberal arts, and uh, to be honest, I have enjoyed uh, the best courses have been, like television, data journalism. Now, data is not something that other journalism schools teach you, and we have field trips. We are supposed to file reports from that field trip. So it's almost like a hands-on experience, and the faculty also helps you get a lot of internships. So we've interned, we've been on the ground, and the way you come out of a journalism school is by gaining the experience of what a journalist already does on the ground. And as far as like your career options are concerned, I am going in for a master's in human rights, and as sir mentioned, I've been working with the refugees. uh, yeah, so far, like I've tried to accommodate this in most of my assignments and internships. I've been to the ground, I've been to the refugee camps and filed reports from there, or had audio programs, radio programs and video programs that were based out of there. So, I mean, it's a full package.
Also, picking up on the field trips.
Okay.
So initially, in the initial years, semesters, we used to complain to the faculty that, come on, where's the field trips? We need more field trips. And then by the fifth semester, the field trips became so hectic because we had so many. And I'll tell you what, those field trips were so important that they have created a permanent effect. For example, to cover manual scavenging, we went to a Valmiki colony, which is near our university. And our university's location itself is so, it's the location is so important because uh, you take a car, you can go anywhere you like. If you want to go to Delhi, you can go to Delhi. If you want to go to Jaipur, it's only a few hours drive away. You can go to Jaipur, anywhere. So we went to Bagpat, for example, in Uttar Pradesh to cover the elections. So even then, we covered the elections from a religious lens. Bagpat is a Muslim-dominated area, and we wanted to show the dynamics out there, and we filed a great report. And faculty itself, the faculty comes with so much of experience that you would want to simply just sit and have a chat with them whenever you want to. And apart from all that, if hostel life is great, university life is great. If you guys have any questions about that, you can shoot.
Okay. We will very soon take the questions, but I am told that Tom is here with us. So, Ashish, if you can unmute Tom. And good morning, Tom. Can you hear us or can you speak?
I unmuted him, but I believe he himself muted himself.
He's there. I can see him.
Yes. Yeah, he's there.
Oh, the
I'm
unmute option
unmuting
is
him.
not coming. Okay, we will wait for we'll wait for a few minutes. Okay, but Tom, the dean, the founding dean of the Jindal School of Journalism and Communication, is in California, woken up very early. It's early morning out there now, but he wanted to be part of it, so he joined. He listened to Arvind and Ashima, I know, but not being able to unmute him for whatever reason. But Ashish will keep trying. So anyway, the moment, Tom, you can speak, because they're trying to get to unmute you, jump in. Till then, we'll take the questions. Or, yeah. Okay, right from the top, I mean, Arvind, Ashima, you can also say that someone, Prajveen Hire, who says that a girl cinematographer, is a girl cinematographer accepted in the profession or not? I answered that earlier, but for the sake of everyone, that yes, I don't think so. There's a gender difference between in cinematography. At NTV, I can tell you that many of our camera persons, and that's why we call them camera person and not cameramen. Earlier in the profession, they were called cameramen, but now we camera persons because some of our best camera persons were women. There was someone, Shravani from Mumbai. I hope you enjoyed the webinar, because you said you're looking forward to today's webinar. Rahul Kumar says, what is the admission procedure of the graduation course in your college? The admission procedure is, I think, on the website. Go on the website, apply. After the application, you will be asked to, the admission team will take you through the procedure of, there'll be a statement of purpose, there'll be an interview, and there'll be a online artificial intelligence proctored entrance test called the JSAT. Lakshay Puri asks what all students learn in creative writing course and program. Lakshay, we don't have exactly a creative writing course, but we have not one writing course. We actually have writing courses from first semester right till the end, and our main thrust is on the writing and reading aspect. So, and there will be opportunities for you to be able to creatively express yourself also through writing very soon. And the graduating batch it's unfortunate that they missed it, but very soon, starting September 1st, we are launching the school newsletter, the newspaper, where there will be students editorial board, and they will be editing a newsletter every week. So students will be able to write there.
Also, if Lakshay is looking for a specific creative writing course, like there's no stopping you, because we have faculty members who stay back after university timings to give extra classes to students who are interested. We have a creative writing course that goes on, and there are various creative writing electives that you can choose from. So there are various options.
Okay. Can you look at other questions also?
We have a question from Shravani.
Shravani says, just like the Great Depression made an impact on the generation, making them a little frugal, do you think this corona pandemic will shape the mindset of our generation in some way? Shravani, your guess is as good as my guess, but one thing I can tell you scientifically that I have learned over the last several weeks is that the slowest learner amongst all species, or amongst most species, are human beings. They are very slow learners. So while we can adapt very quickly, we learn very slowly. So chances are that once the lockdown is, once we exit from the lockdown, we will probably revert back to who we were. In these 50 days, I mean, did you see any compassion amongst human beings? I mean, I did not see the compassion even from responsible agencies and authorities on the road. So how will it shape the mindset of our generation? I hope it shapes like the industrial revolution shaped our mindset in some way. So probably this is going to shape, but I am going to be skeptical. And skepticism is a very important word in journalism. Journalists are not cynical. We are skeptical, which means we don't believe something in the face of it. We try to investigate, to interrogate it, and to be able to bring you the truth. But that's not exactly connected to what you asked. My answer is, I mean, I wouldn't know, but I hope it changes. Hope we become better people and a better species. Hope the pandemic makes us a better species. Nazrul
It took
Hassan
us
says,
it
hello,
took us
sir. Yes,
21 years to it took us 21 years to learn how to wash our hands properly for 20 seconds.
yes, well, it took Arvind and Ashima 21 years to learn how many times you will wash your hands. And trust me, you will forget it in another 1 week if everything comes back to normal. So, and we want things to come back to normal, of course. Arvind and Ashima, please take the questions. Let me see if I can unmute Tom because he's still waiting in the lobby out there.
Okay.
The 3-year degree recognized. This is Lakshay. I think US accepts 4 years of undergraduate study.
Yeah, some colleges do accept 3 years, but most don't. So you'll require 3 years of bachelor's and 1 year either in diploma or 2 years somewhere else to apply to US.
Nazrul, I passed class 12, and you want to be a good journalist. You will be if you work hard and if you're curious enough.
What is the cutoff for admission? Will the admissions team take this question?
Yeah, I have answered that, Ashima already. So now you can take a question by Rahul. He's saying that, can you please tell how can advertisement and digital marketing help in journalism course, and how can I do something in automobiles by pursuing a journalism program?
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
we can hear you,
Tom.
Yes, sir.
Professor.
Yes, we can
Well,
hear you.
let me not interrupt. Let me not interrupt. Keep going.
No. Okay. After they answer this question, then I'll bring Tom in.
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
So, Professor, we have a question from Rahul here. He's asking about how he can just a minute, yeah, so he's asking, please tell how can advertisement as well as the digital marketing help in journalism, and how he can do something with automobiles by pursuing journalism course.
Digital marketing and journalism, is that what he wants to know?
Yeah, and he wants to do something with automobiles.
You know, the answer is, I don't have a quick fix answer out here, but the course is very holistic. And I think if you want to be successful in any field, and I'm not saying, nanotechnology or nuclear science. I mean, there are all those specialist areas, but overall, if you want to be successful, I think the education that you require is a very holistic education which teaches you to think, teaches you to be curious, and teaches you to be honest, and teaches you to read and write. And if you can do all that, you will be able to use journalism in digital marketing, or use digital marketing in automobiles. All that will come almost naturally if you have the knack and the interest. But the foundation is which one matters, and in this undergraduate degree is what gives you that foundation to be able to think imaginatively. In fact, we have a research center out there which is called New Imagination. I don't know why I named it New Imagination, but rather than reimagination, because I was a little tired of the word reimagination, but it was New Imagination that I thought of. And we want to imagine the world in a new way. We want to imagine, so like Shravani was asking, that will this generation start thinking in a new way? Of course we'll start thinking in a new way, I suppose. How much newer? Will that make a difference to these people walking hundreds of kilometers back home? Will we be able to save them? I don't know that, but clearly there will be some changes, right? Arvind, do you think we are going to change a little?
Of course, I think there's going to be a permanent change in our lives forever, because this is going to linger on for a while. And by then, we'll learn to adapt to live with a pandemic, because life cannot stop no matter what. we are built to survive. And to answer Rahul a little more specifically, so in our final semester, we are having a course on advertising, which is really, really strong and good, I'll tell you. So we are learning all the basics of advertising and a lot of theory that goes into it. And we are analyzing how ads are made and why they are made the way they are, analyzing posters, analyzing video ads, and we break it down to the simplest level and understand why it is made in such a way. So I'm sure you can use the knowledge that you gather from this course and probably use it in automobile advertising or whatever you plan to do.
Ashima, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I think Arvind gave the gist of it.
Yes. Tom, before we lose Tom again to California, Tom, if you can come in now and tell us, good morning. How is the morning out there?
It's actually raining here. Very unusual. But good morning. I'm so happy that this worked. The wonders of technology. It's 6:15 a.m. here, half a world away. But I'm so, yeah, and this is, I must say, I am not the most technologically savvy person, but I'm just blown away by this transaction that we're doing. It's my first webinar ever. I mean, and I'm not going to, I just want to say, I want to welcome the people who I can't see and just say a couple of things. And I'm so pleased that Arvind and Ashima are on this call because you learn from your peers, and it's very useful. I mean, they took a chance 3 years ago. There was no journalism program when they agreed to come. And I think, I don't want to speak for them, but I think they're pretty happy customers. I mean, we tried something, we started from scratch, and I happen to be very proud of where we are. We're not all the way there, but we're working. We're working on it. And for you, prospective applicants, think of us as a startup, a smart startup with lots of energy, lots of resources, and now a very strong tradition. So you'll come, we're not bound by our ways, and we will experiment. As I heard Arvind saying, yeah, that they complained a little bit about lack of field trips. So what did we do? We had field trips. We're responsive to students. We're responsive to the world around us. And also, I mean, it's too early to say, but COVID is going to change journalism. It's going to change how we teach. It's going to be an important, exciting place for the next several years. So with that, I will turn it back to Keish.
Thanks, Tom. Nazrul Hassan, where are you from? I don't know Nazrul, but you said that I passed class 12. I want to be a good journalist. Okay, Nazrul, let me make a promise to you, and it's a transactional promise, okay? If you qualify the entrance test and you join us, then I'm going to make you into a journalist. A journalist is a journalist. There's never a bad journalist, so you will be a good journalist.
So Professor, there is a question from
I
Isha.
want to join Jindal University, and the want to is in bold. So Nazrul, make sure you fill up all the right details, and you will be guided by the admissions team out here. They know exactly what to do. There are other questions which Chinky and the thing will take a note of. Rim Jim Rana says,
Sure.
where can I get last year's paper for JSAT for BGMC? Chinky, when you named this webinar, ask me anything, you put me into trouble. Now I'm going to be asked anything. I would not
All right.
have
So Professor, okay. So Professor, there's a question from Isha Lati. So she's asking about the difference between communication, media, and journalism. Is there any difference? And if it is, and which one is better?
communications, media, and journalism. Ashima, do you want to take a shot? Do you think there is any difference? Do you think all are same? How do you want to describe communications, media, and journalism?
I think all are same. There's no difference between media, communication, and journalism. Um, yeah, I mean, at
At
least
the
we're not
at the
taught it that.
base at the
Yeah,
base of
at the
it all
core of it,
is
yeah, and
communication.
the
You need to
principles
learn
of
how
it
to
are same.
communicate.
Yeah,
Yeah, both of
it's
you are
all
speaking together.
about good communication.
No, no one heard anything that both of you spoke. Okay, Ashima first say, and then
Ashima,
Arvind
go.
says.
Okay, so I was saying that at the core of it and the principles of it are the same. It's just that you need to learn how to communicate well. You need to identify who you're communicating for and target your message that way. That's about it. It's just about good communication.
Exactly. Like at the base of it is to learn how to speak up and speak out. And out here, you get various opportunities to do that. For me, I was probably the shyest person ever, and I was the most introverted person that could exist. I still sometimes struggle to get out of my comfort zone, but no, getting into the student council in at Jindal Global University, that changed my life forever. And then, see, when you're amidst 5,000 students in a closed campus, you will have to speak out, because unless you speak out, no one's going to listen to you and no one's going to think you're important. So once you do that, once you gain the confidence, that's it. You've learned a lot of communication right there through experiences.
There is Neetu Kumari who says that I've completed my MGMC. MGMC, I guess, is the Masters in Journalism and Mass Communication. Now, as a career, what I want to do. Neetu, the world is yours. I mean, imagine every single organization, and I'm tired saying this, but I still have to repeat myself in each of the webinars. Every single organization, government, quasi-government, non-government, private, starting from Jindal Global University to the White House. Okay, and I'll tell you why I mentioned White House a little later. But all of these organizations in the world has a communication office, and and if you are a journalist or if you have a communication degree, you will obviously hold a better chance in being able to manage that. And why I mentioned the White House was a reference to Tom. Tom was actually a press secretary to the mayor of New York at one point of time after he served at the New York Times. Tom, are you still there, Tom?
I'm still here. Yes.
Yes.
I miss.
What did you do in the office of the mayor of the New York? I mean,
Well,
after being a journalist.
well, it was. I corrected his grammar. No, but I did a lot of things. I mean, he liked to talk, and he had a great sense of humor. So I did not speak on his behalf as much as I organized events. I organized his day, and it occurred to me not until after I left the job that he saw more of New York City than any other single person, and I accompanied him on every visit he made. So it was an extraordinary experience. It was not something that I want to spend my life doing, but it was for 2 years. It was wonderful, and I heartily encourage people to take different jobs to explore different experiences, and journalism lets you do that.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Tom. The one thing that I knew in life is that I wouldn't, be filing report. I mean, I was filing different kind of report, but I didn't want to be in office. My idea of a job, and I grew up in the 70s and 80s. My idea of a job was, boring. That job is a boring thing that which people do, which dads did. They left at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock in the morning, went, and they came back in the evening, and they had no stories to share about what they did the day. It was the
Yeah.
same life. It's
Yes,
like
and
having,
journalism. Oh,
yeah. Sorry.
let me just
Yeah.
interrupt. I'm sorry. No 2 days are the same as a journalist. You wake up in the morning, you don't know where you're going to be at the end of the day. And if that life suits you, journalism is for you.
Yeah. I mean, who knew that? I mean, many of my journalist friends had absolutely no idea that they would be covering a virus. I mean, this was not what they were trained for, but they are doing a damn good job. You know, they're keeping themselves safe, and they are ensuring that the rest of the people are safe by conveying the right information. I mean, what else? And it's not the ideal thing that you do, but you do. You know, you go to places. You know, and Tom and I remember once we were addressing a bunch of students, and I remember Tom asking them a couple of questions, and I have written those questions down out here. And Tom said, "Do you like traveling?" And you know, the same question that I would ask to everyone out here, to all the attendees: do you like traveling? Well, then be a journalist. Do you like asking questions? Then be a journalist. And do you want to change lives, which is the main thing, with a naive sense of idealism? Of course, we want to change the world. We may not we might not be able to change the world, but we can change lives. We can impact lives, and then be a journalist. There is Ishan asking, can you brief us on the campus facilities? Oh, person on campus facilities, Arvind will take you through a guided tour of the campus.
Sure.
Let me tell you, there's a little secret, ladies and gentlemen out here. The campus life begins at 11 o'clock at night when I am not there. So that's the life that, you know, I am not privy to, and I will not be able to tell you. And you know, Arvind will be able to take us through a virtual tour of that.
Look, the campus itself is alive all the time. Like 24/7, you have students moving here and there. There's, you name it, you are never gonna get bored. See, you might have a thought that, oh, the college has a gate pass system, you cannot go out. But there's nothing like that. You can go out whenever you like, and inside the campus itself, there are so many things you can do. We've got societies, we've got multiple societies, more than 20 societies. We've got our own cricket club, we've got our own football club, and the grounds are huge. Okay, and it's beautiful. You should visit Sonipat sometime to really see it. You guys, hopefully, if things get better, you guys will be visiting the campus for a campus tour also, and you will see how great it is. It's great infrastructure. The college is built beneath fields. You've got fields all around, and it's really pretty, really. And our hostels are too good. The hostels, perhaps, I think they are the best hostel any college can provide in India. They are full 5-star level. You've got centralized ACs. It's really good. You've got a food court
Very
with
comfortable mattresses. I noticed that.
yeah, really comfortable mattresses. It's really good. You've got multiple fooding options also. There are so many restaurants, international brands who serve food inside. We've got Subway, Domino's, Burkos, name it. There's Punjab Grill. So you get good food as well.
Yeah. Ashima, what are your campus experiences?
No, I was just about to add. So, I mean, it's a fully residential campus. So, you know, you've got your pharmacy, swimming pool, gymnasium, everything there. You don't really have to step out for anything.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest swimming pools I have seen in any educational institution. I don't think so any educational institution in India has this size of a swimming pool. It's an Olympic-sized swimming pool. We brag about it. Sorry, we are bragging about all these because these are actually things worth bragging. But there are also the other things which Arvind and Ashima did not mention. There are some 200 species of different kinds of birds out there. And there was a calendar, I remember, that was made of those birds. And you actually see the birds, lots of birds moving around, lots of green, lots of trees. It's an 80-acre campus, but large number, majority of that is actually full of greens. It's not built up entirely, which is a good thing. Rim Jim Raina asks, I have filled up the forms. When do I have the JSAT? Chinky is the person who will tell you when you have the JSAT. I think you will be informed. You don't need to worry. Eknoor Swani, what is the procedure for a student who's given boards in 2018 and has the result? Oh, ignore. You should just join in straight away. If you've given your boards in 2018 and if you have the results, just give your entrance and you are in there. Shravani says, since there are innumerable news sources providing a plethora of information which sometimes leads to a lot of fake news floating around, why don't journalists partner with researchers who would provide reliable and scientifically proven facts? Shravani, that's exactly what journalists are supposed to do. Unfortunately, I can't speak on behalf of all journalists because we don't have an umbrella body which controls or regulates journalists, but you are absolutely right. Journalists are supposed to partner, we don't partner in a very formal way, but we depend, we have our sources. So,
and I think we share a lot of knowledge, because I remember Prateek Sinha, from the owner of Alt News, he had come in to give us a guest lecture. So he shared a lot of knowledge with us, and how we can sit at home and, like, bust for fake news. It's not that difficult, really.
yeah, Shravani, I used to cover disturbed areas for most of my journalist career. What today we call conflict zones. When I went into those zones, they were not called conflict zones; they were just zones. I went in, but I covered those areas. And out there, what is the biggest casualty? The biggest casualty out there is the truth, because you can never be sure of who's telling you what. And yet, I had to develop sources, and such solid sources that I could never go wrong, because a journalist can never retract. A good journalist will never retract. A good journalist will cross-check information, cross-check not once, not twice, but thrice before giving out. But in today's world, where information, everyone is competing to come out first with the information, I still consider, the cliche of journalism, that get it first and get it right. But even if you get it second, it doesn't matter, but get it right. Always get it right. You can't say, oh, I went wrong, because I didn't check it properly. Actually, 20 people didn't die. Actually, only one person died. That's bad journalism. Also, another cliche of journalism, you can get 364 correct stories, and you go have one wrong story, and that's going to haunt you like a ghost forever. You will be remembered for that one wrong story, not the right story. Tom, do you have any anecdotes of any big journalists who have been haunted by wrong reporting?
Unlike fields like law, I mean, if you make a mistake in law or in medicine, you might be able to get thrown out of the field. Not so in journalism, but it damages your career. And you were going through a list of sayings about journalists, and one occurs to me, and I'm not sure how it translates, but it used to be said in newsrooms in Chicago: if your mother says she loves you, check it out. Journalists take nothing for granted, and they're skeptical, and that's sort of they're doubters, but I mean, there is an absolute premium on accuracy. I would put accuracy at the top of the list.
Yeah, yesterday was Mother's Day, so all the attendees,
that's what I'm reminded.
Whoever said that, oh, I love you, mother, I love you, mom. Now you should you should do a fact check of whether you really do love your mom. And there is Sainath Anand saying, sir, nowadays spreading hatred towards a particular community and running the propaganda of a particular party is the new trend in journalism, and more you do this, the more viewership you gain. Is the new reality, and 80% of the media houses are just doing that and going in that direction. Sir, how long does this kind of journalism going to survive in our country, and how students like us should be approaching that problem? Sainath, the fact that you are recognizing it and asking the question is the answer. You are the answer. This kind of journalism will end when people like you will question it. You should be. There are not too many of us questioning it. So I think this is exactly what you've stated. I'm very glad that you have articulated it so well. In journalism schools, we teach you to question the status quo, and we'll teach you many ways and means of doing it. It's not just the terms, question the status quo, but how do you go about doing it? And you will come out asking the right questions. And that's why you're going to be a journalist. And I hope I am going to read your byline very soon, Sainav. I don't know where you study or what you study, but best wishes to you. Stop by JSJC when you can. Arvind, how are you going to manage or handle this journalism of hatred that's very pervasive now?
In fact, we are already doing what's in our power. We started this Instagram news page, which is called the Headlines Watch. It's a bunch of journalism students from Jindal and from Christ. We've teamed up together, and we're trying to fix this journalism of hatred in some way we can. And you should check out Headlines Watch on Instagram to check out our content. So our idea is to put out facts and only facts, no opinions at all. Because whatever information out there is available right now, it is all tainted by some form of opinion, which is irritating. Because when you learn journalism and when you see that that is the only kind of information that's available, you would want to do something about it. And this is a small step that we've taken, and we're trying to fix journalism in whichever way we can.
Thanks. That Kajal Turani says, any update on by when the first year classes would begin? Kajal, as of today, the classes will begin on time. That is August 1st, 2020. So, we are on as per the academic term mentioned to you in the brochure and on the website. 1st of August, 2020. Rahul again asks, how can Automobile help me in BGMC in mass communication and journalism? I think we've answered that question on that. Is there an entrance test to join? Yes, there is an entrance test which is going to be proctored online, and you can do it from home. I think Arvind disappeared somewhere. Nazrul, which course in your university, latest media, I don't know. Rim Jim again asks, what are the dates for JSAT? Chinky will let you know. What is the last date to apply, Chinky? It's a rolling admission process, right?
Yes, Professor, it's a rolling admissions, but it's totally restricted to the number of the seats, as we have very limited seats in the program. So once our seats get filled, we'll stop our admissions.
Okay, so Praveen, here is the answer. It is a rolling admission, but the sooner you do, better, because it's not an unlimited number of seats that we have. Anshika Pandey, sir, I want to make a career in TV line or either TV host or news anchor, but still confused to choose the course which is better for me at the college, which gives me bachelor degree with least fee and good placements. Please suggest me courses, as now I have given board exams, now confused to choose. I would advise you, Anshika, to apply out here, have a conversation with our admissions team, and they'll be able to guide you. This course is not to make you a TV anchor, but no TV anchors that you see on TV have actually undertaken a course in TV anchoring. TV anchoring is not a course. That's an aptitude, a knack to have. You join TV and someone says, hey, do you want to read the TV news? Or you walk up to the editor and says, I want to read the news. Often the editor will say, all right, I'll call you someday, and you never get called. But sometimes you're called for an audition and you become a TV anchor. The TV anchors, at least in my times, were not anchors who went to an anchor studio, learned anchoring, came. You got to have the aptitude. And also, all our anchors are journalists. So we don't have an anchor who is just anchoring. So anchoring, reading out of a teleprompter, is a presenter that you can do for event management firms. But on a news television, you got to be a journalist. In sports television, you got to be someone who understands sports very well. In entertainment television, you got to be knowing the entertainment industry, inside out to be able to be an anchor. So remember, anchoring is not just a profession on its by its own. It's just another aptitude allied to the special, being a journalist or an entertainment person or a sports person. Rim Jim says, couldn't find any date for JSAT online, please help. Chinky, a lot of people asking this. Any tips to this?
I will call them soon, sir.
Okay, Rim Jim and others, Chinky and Ashish will call you soon, and soon means really soon, so don't worry about that. Anshika says, I've taken Anshika's. Nazrul, we have answered Nazrul. Isha Latti, is there a difference between communication? Yes, we've answered that. Various career options after doing a course in journalism. Ashima, can you enlighten Isha Latti on the various career options that you had in mind when you came to a course which was the first time happening at Jindal, and you still both of them. And I'm glad that Tom mentioned that both Arvind and Ashima chose to join a course and a school which was not tested. So what were the career options you had in mind, and what are the career options you have in mind?
Okay, so since we had the discussion the other day itself, a lot of people consider content in social media. Arvind keep adding. Digital media, yes. Social media, content creating, yes. Writing and proofreading uh, for a beginner's level, and
And you see, you'll be interning from your first semester onwards. So and internships usually have credits, and through there you'll be learning so much. I'm telling you. Through we have people interning at BBC, we have students interning at Indian Express, you name it. Uh, and in fact, our placement cell is also working really hard to get the first batch of JSJC good placements. Uh,
yeah, in
and
fact, yeah, go
but
on, sorry. Okay,
no, go
so
on.
also you can go in for community radio, uh, filmmaking, not filmmaking making, but videos, video editing, stuff like that.
And you see, the thing is that when you come into a humanities school, right, it's not that humanities just narrows down your career options. In fact, it broadens it even further. And there are a bunch of streams you can choose from because humanities, so the stream itself covers so much. So there's no binding factor over there.
All right, there's Madhya Sood asking, I'm in class 11. How do I prepare to enter the field of journalism? Read as much as you can, write well, and just be curious of what's happening around you. Try to question, and you are a journalist. And get in touch with us. You can get in touch with us even when you're in class 11, so that we can guide you or we can interact. We can tell you how to plan if you are interested. Nirvangshu Barua, can you please expand more about film studies in Jindal? Nirvangshu, we do not have a film studies course as such, but there are courses in multimedia journalism, in various other. For example, there's a course called Changing Media Landscapes, where film is discussed or reference to films are there, but there is no specialized film studies course in Jindal, though film studies courses are in FTII Pune and at the Satyajit Ray Institute in Calcutta. These are the two most recognized film institutes in the country. This is a journalism and communication school where we teach you, but it prepares you for that. I mean, we do have video editing, we do have camera, so you'll be using the same camera. We have a state-of-art television studio, we have a state-of-art radio. And when I say state-of-art, I'm not using the words very casually and loosely. These are it's a high definition television studio which has proper studio cameras, unlike what studios have now transitioned into by using mobile cameras. Actually, we still have you know, we have the new generation cameras, and we have good studio cameras. We have latest editing suites, and very robust visual imagination, radio and television course that starts from the second semester and goes right up till the final semester. So you have 5 semesters of audio visual coaching and experiential courses that is going to get even better with the coming years. But as Arvind said, that their batch was tried and tested. So a lot of things that we have arrived at was through them. So it was a steep learning curve for all of us, including the faculty and the students. Criteria for selection, Jagriti Rai, is, like I mentioned, statement of purpose, your class 12 exams marks, but I think we are taking the predicted grades now under this critical condition. So the predicted grades, the JSAT examination, and a statement of purpose, and there may be an interview. Pooja Shankaram, how do the journalists protect themselves from the life threats and personal attacks? Good question, Pooja. I have personally walked all my life over landmines, sometimes literally, sometimes metaphorically. And how do the journalists protect? You know how does the journalists protect? Lots of common sense is the only way you can protect yourself. You just have to be sensible, and you don't want to be the news. You want to carry the news. So you do navigate the risks in a manner. You learn it on the job. There is no course that we undertook to teach this. But later, as a journalist, I did offer master classes on conflict reporting and how to protect yourself. These days, organizations and schools like ours, we have a course. I do offer a course saying understanding and reporting conflict and crisis, understanding and reporting violence, understanding or reporting the border. Now, courses like this teach you somewhat to be able to manage and navigate risk. People say that you got to have a lot of luck. I'm not sure what luck is, but yes, probably got to be lucky also. So maybe I'm just looking back, since I survived that many years walking those landmines. It's easy for me to say, but I can tell you it required a lot of common sense, a lot of planning and thinking as well. You just don't walk into a landmine. Are there going to be online classes from 1st August if students cannot attend the classes physically? Ishan, yes, of course. Classes will happen. How, in which form, I don't think so anyone in the world today knows. I hope we get to know that very soon, and we will keep you updated to all that's happening, and that's part of, you will also get to know from our office. Praveen says, as Arvind has mentioned about film study, what would that be? Arvind, do you want to say that?
So for instance, in our first semester, we had this subject called film and literature. So out there, that was one of our core courses, but I think that's been modified since. So that course was focused on analyzing some iconic films and literally breaking it down and giving a film review of it. But then apart from that, you will have various options in your electives, because Jindal School of Liberal Arts and Humanities, they have a few courses on films, which you will probably be able to take from the 3rd semester when you'll be allowed to choose electives. So you have courses ranging from Harry Potter to name it. It's there. So there's a specific course that only looks at Harry Potter films and Harry Potter as a as a popular culture subject. So there are various courses like that you can choose, you can opt for.
Yeah, thanks. You mentioned this because I'd forgotten to tell you, students, that Jindal is an interdisciplinary university, and you are allowed to take cross-listed electives. We are also going to have various departments being floated, but there are 70, yes, 70 cross-listed electives that you can choose from. So it's a huge variety of subjects. I wish I had such an option ever. I did my humanities in undergraduate, 4 subjects, went to class, studied that, I did my majors in English literature. That's about it. And I don't think I learned any other subjects. I mean, those were just there. I just did those. It was boring. Education was very boring then. It is far more interesting now. It's actually fun, challenging. I don't know if such a word exists. Someone who says, is there a difference in communication, media, and journalism? I think we've replied that. Reena Bugna says, what is the minimum SAT score for applying to the score? Chinky, is there a minimum SAT score?
Yes, Professor. Out of 1600, we are looking for 1100 at least in SAT.
SAT is the cutoff score for SAT. Then various career options. Isha says, I think we discussed the career options. I can go through it once again later. Kanika Joshi says, what is your acceptance rate? Oh, I don't know how to calculate that. What is the acceptance rate, Chunky?
Professor,
What is the acceptance rate? Do we?
it's not. No, I mean we can't. I have not analyzed it in a percentage, but it's not very high.
Okay. So basically, Kanika, try your luck and get in touch with us. Don't worry about the acceptance rate. If you fulfill the criteria and if you're qualified, then we will consider you. Madhya Sud says book genre recommendations for aspiring journalists. I mean, a whole lot of books, Madhya. Why don't you get in touch with the people who sent you the invite and ask for my email ID and write to me, and I will send you a whole list of books. But to begin with, start reading non-fiction. And to begin with, one book that I will suggest that you read right now is a book called The Plague. The Plague, Plague, Plague by Albert Camus. You can start by reading that. And I'll send you get in touch with me. I'll send you a whole list of books. Anshika, is a career in public relations possible after graduating with a degree of journalism and media studies? Absolutely. Most eminently, it can be pursued. Anshika, the best public relation people in the world are former journalists. The skill set is the same. The job is slightly different, but the skill set remains the same. You still need to write well, think on your feet, and read a lot and make sense of what's happening. Lakshay Puri, with respect to placements, how is it in journalism? Do students work after bachelor degree or do they go for masters? Also at UC Berkeley, there's a summer program. How is students' experience with that? First part I will answer. Yes, there are placements in journalism. In fact, right now, our placement office of the career and placement is already placing a lot of students. Given such a extraordinary time, they are still finding placements. We encourage students to go for a master's degree or for a higher degree because bachelor degree is just a foundational degree. But there are lots of journalists and lots of very well-known journalists who did only a bachelor's degree and became journalists. Or there are various other professions that you can pursue. The course is as such, like I mentioned, it's a major in journalism, but you get to study so many other things that you can pursue your master's or higher studies in various other subjects as well. It doesn't have to be journalism. And the last part of the question is at UC Berkeley, there's a summer school, which is what the student experience with that. This year, unfortunately, we had to suspend the summer program. Tom, can you tell us the experience of UC Berkeley? Because neither Arvind nor Ashima or I have seen the Berkeley campus. And Tom was the dean at the UC Berkeley Graduate School of Journalism, guys.
You know, I spent actually almost 35 years teaching there, being a dean there. And we did a summer program. We were all scheduled to do one this summer, but we had to unfortunately cancel it. And it's a program that's geared towards technology and journalism, because it is my view that the center of journalism in the United States is moving west. It's moving west because that's the technology, where technology is primary. And we put together, you know, in each year it's a little bit different, so I can't predict what it will be in the future. But we get people from Google, Twitter, places like that. In addition, there's some first-rate journalists in the West Coast who are acquaintances of mine over the years. They come and teach. And aside from that, I mean, Berkeley, I said it rained here today. That's very unusual at this time of year. It is a gorgeous place. It is beautiful. The weather is as close to perfect as you can imagine. And people from all over the world gather here in the summer, so you learn from them as well.
Thanks, Tom. We are running right out of time, so let me just rush through these questions and have a closing comment. Shravani, you are asking very, very good questions, and I have a sense that you either are a journalism student or you want to be a journalist yourself. Shravani says journalists are not acknowledged enough for the work they do. Thank you, Shravani. Taking this pandemic itself, the journalists aren't being taken care of, just like the freedom of press was granted. Shouldn't there be efforts and protests to get journalists more rights? Absolutely. Ashima, do you think journalists should get more rights?
Yes, absolutely. While I was interning in BBC, their journalists go through something called a HEFAD training, and you'll be able to expand on that for them, which most of the other journalists don't have, especially, now that we are faced with the pandemic. Definitely, a training is a must.
Shravani says, I want to become a travel journalist. What do you think the scope of that field in the country? The travel journalists are very niche journalists. You got to work with travel journals, travel shows. There are a number of them. It's not like the jobs are going to be there. A lot of jobs are going to be there. But yes, if you can make your mark, it's a very interesting profession. But like what I mentioned, all journalists travel. So in a sense, you will be a journalist job is a traveling job. It's not a sedentary job. I mean, it's unless you are at the desk. But as a reporter, you will be traveling mostly. So you want to be a travel journalist, let us know. Let me know. Get in touch with me. I'll try and help you. I'll try and tell you where to go, what to do. Is there a track athletics team at JGU? If yes, what is the procedure for joining? Do you need to be a national level athlete to join? Is there a track athletes team at JGU, Arvind?
I'm not sure about a track athlete team, but yeah, we do have a running team at JGU, and there is no restriction that you have to be a national level or a state level athlete for it. In fact, anybody can go and run. Anybody can go and register and participate in university level competitions. There's no bar to that. And if you want, you can go running at 1 a.m. at night or at 4 a.m. at night, in the morning, whenever you like.
And this is the only campus, I don't know, you can fact check this, but I am bragging about it again. I think this is the only campus in India, or let's say in Sonipat. Then I think I'm correct, or in NCR, because otherwise they'll quickly fact check and then say, oh, right, this journalist wasn't telling us the truth. But where we have floodlit sporting facilities till midnight. I mean, I had never known that you can have floodlit facilities till midnight. I mean, and when I first came in and I said, when do students study, man? I mean, they're playing out here. They have the best sporting facilities anywhere I've seen. The Rimjim Raina gives us a compliment. Clap to Rimjim Raina, says, honestly saying, I wasn't so sure about taking up journalism, but after this webinar, I think this is the only thing that actually I want to do. Rimjim, you must just get in touch with us right away. Just pick up the phone. Moreover, me having friends in the campus, I've always wanted to come to Jindal because they're always bragging about how good Jindal is. Oh, see how we are bragging about it. Sneha Mishra, during the selection process, how much weightage is given to the quantitative aptitude in JSAT? I know, Sneha, where you're coming from. You're coming from where I come from. I am scared of numbers. Don't worry. Also, by when can I expect to hear from the college after being selected? I think you will hear from them immediately. Thanks for answering a lot of questions and giving us a more detailed description of the course. Sriteja Tela Prolu, will I get exposure to filmmaking as part of the course? Sriteja, there's no filmmaking course as such, but I have myself made several films in my life. Last year, each year I commission a film and I'm involved in film. Join me in those, so you are going to be exposed. Exposure is not a problem. There will be a lot of exposure in various kind of activities related to journalism and communication. How much are journalists paid? Oh my God, journalists are sometimes paid very well, but I don't think so. Journalism, any journalist has joined journalism for the fame. No one joins journalism to get paid. They join journalism to change. Tom, can you weigh in out here?
Yes, the non-monetary rewards, psychic rewards, social, aside from the fact in which I think Keisha's conveyed this, and so have Arvind and Ashram, it's fun. There's nothing that's more fun than being a journalist. And there's a wonderful, now deceased journalist named I.F. Stone. There's a wonderful, if you get your hands on the documentary, I.F. Stone's Weekly, which is available in various spots. Watch it. It's now about 30 years old, actually, but watch it. You'll want to be a journalist. And during that documentary, I.F. Stone said, "I'm having so much fun. I should be paying them for this job." And that's, a lot of journalists feel that way.
Rimjim asks the question, Ashima and Arvind, listen to it carefully. Recently, there was a case of boys' locker room which went trending on Twitter on #4, which was a very serious issue, but even from the journalists or any other channel didn't put up on light with this issue, which was actually a big one. I presume what Rimjim is saying, that why didn't journalists or media houses pick up the boys' locker room issue? Ashima, do you have a take on this?
As far as I remember reading a lot about it on a lot of digital platforms. So I'm not sure whether we can dismiss it entirely that they did pick it up. But I guess for the news channels, especially to show it during a time like this, it's an editorial call. I'm not sure it wasn't covered at all.
It's about priorities, I think, right now for TV media. And digital media is completely blown up with the boys' locker room incident. And in fact, our headlines watch, the page we operate, we did a lot of fact check, and you should check that out because we've been working really strongly on the issue, because there's been a lot of fake news also going about this issue. And the only reason why TV media is not covering it right now is because there's a much serious pandemic issue that's going on. I think that's the only reason.
Okay, you know what? We have actually overshot our time. This is not our platform. It's a platform that we book the time, and I think we'll have to wrap up soon. Last time I remember we were cut off abruptly. I want to avoid that abrupt cutoff, and that's why there are a few other questions, very, very good questions. Someone saying, Devulapalli Shreyasi saying, good afternoon. These days there are few journalists who showcase news with anti-nationalism. My question, how do we cope up with just our journalists, and when will this end? Is this otherwise important? Devulapalli, this is a long answer, and I'll request you to get in touch with our admissions and get in touch with me through them. Sunidhi Prasad, you want affordable but good journalism, get in touch with us and see what we can offer you. But we can offer you good journalism course, for that we are sure. There are various other questions. You all both can also get in touch with Arvind and Ashima on their Instagram accounts. Ashima runs a podcast called The Hook, and Arvind says has an Instagram headlines watch. Is you can follow both these and get in touch with them directly. You'll be able to connect with them much better than probably me, because you'll speak a different language altogether sometimes, and I'm picking up that language slowly. In the last 3 years, actually, these people have taught me a lot of language which I did not know. So it's a new language. Like I said, at the steep learning curve. Journalists like Arnab Chaudhary and Sudhir Chaudhary have been targeted for running certain stories. Do you think such incidents will affect how journalism is practiced? I will let that pass. You know best that they do not practice the best in journalism, best practice in journalism, and again requires a longer answer. Thank you so much to all who have attended it. The last sign off comments by my panelists. May I ask Tom to say a few words, and Arvind and Ashima, and a goodbye from me.
Okay, let me just
Tom.
say I'm delighted to have been able to participate. And one thing that I just want to underscore, I've been at a lot of journalism schools in my career, and Jindal is at or near the top, particularly in its faculty. It's got a first-rate, committed, wonderful faculty, and that's what you should be looking at when you're looking at going to school. And if you have any questions, email me. I'd be happy to respond. Thank you.
Thanks. Arvind?
Likewise, if you guys have any more questions, I mean, there are a lot of questions, but we are running short of time. But if you do want to know, you can get in touch with me on Instagram. I've already given you the information on the chat box. You can pick it up from there. And yeah, I'll be available to answer any questions you have.
Ashima?
Yeah, I'll be available to answer any questions they have. We'll be looking forward, in fact, to any queries.
Okay, and best of luck to all those who are attending. If you are writing your board exams, then best of luck. For it's an extraordinary class 12 that you will never ever forget. And imagine the number of stories that you're going to have for the rest of your life to tell. In the middle of your exam, there was a lockdown. The entire world went inside. They scampered back into their homes, and now we'll probably be slowly coming out. And just to use the famous two sign-off lines by the legendary journalist called Edward Murrow, good night and good luck. There's also a movie acted by George Clooney that you must watch called Good Night and Good Luck. And in less than 20 minutes, the Prime Minister of India, I think, addresses the nation. Everyone's waiting to hear how many more days are we going to be in our homes, or are we going to step out now? Where is our world going to be? How our world is going to be shaped in the coming weeks? We'll get to know in 20 minutes. So thank you so much, and meet you guys, many of you in the campus over the next or after a couple of months. I'm really hoping some of you will be joining us, and I'll be seeing you soon. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Goodbye, everyone, and thank you so much, Professor and Ashima and Arvind, as well as Professor Thomas Goldstein, to be a part of this session and taking questions of our students, be it it's an admission question or a academic question. Thank you so much for your time.
Sure.
Thanks, Chinky. Now can I press that button which ends the
Yes,
session?
yeah. Yes, Professor. Thank you so much, everyone.
Okay, bye-bye.
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 Bye-bye.